Redemption at Old Trafford. AEA Sports FC 24 story. Chapter 1. The Unexpected Appointment. The Old Trafford Stadium was abuzz with anticipation. It had been a while since the storied stadium had witnessed anything like this. Fans, clad in their iconic red jerseys, filled the stands, their voices echoing through the hallowed corridors. The atmosphere was electric, and the anticipation was palpable. The football world had its eyes fixed on Manchester United, a club whose glory days had become a distant memory. In the heart of it all, in the executive suites of Old Trafford, sat a man who was about to become the focal point of this revival. Daniel Cole, a relatively unknown figure in the top-tier football world, was poised to take over the reins of one of the most iconic football clubs on the planet. As he walked onto the pitch for his introductory press conference, the flash of cameras and the chorus of questions from the media were overwhelming. A sense of skepticism hung in the air. The fans, once accustomed to legendary names like Sir Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson, were unsure about this fresh face. The media, always ready to pounce on any sign of weakness, questioned the wisdom of the board's decision. Daniel Cole, with a calm demeanor that belied the storm within, stepped up to the podium. He looked out at the sea of expectant faces and began. I understand that many of you might be surprised by my appointment. Manchester United has a rich history and the expectations are high. But let me assure you, I'm not here to live in the past. I'm here to create a new legacy. The room fell silent as his words hung in the air, and he continued, I have a vision for this club, a vision that involves innovation, hard work, and a dedication to excellence. It's not going to be easy, but I believe that we can reclaim our rightful place among the football elite. The media began to scribble furiously, and the fans exchanged uncertain glances. But Daniel wasn't done. He spoke with conviction. I know the skepticism is natural, and I welcome it. Let's not forget that the greatest achievements often arise from the greatest doubts. I've seen it happen, and I know it can happen here. As he outlined his ideas for restructuring the squad, incorporating modern techniques, and reviving the club's winning mentality, there was a gradual shift in the atmosphere. Some members of the media began nodding in approval, while a section of the fans whispered in intrigue. Manchester United isn't just a football club. It's a symbol of resilience, of never giving up, Daniel continued. And that's the spirit I plan to infuse into every player and every staff member. We'll work tirelessly to make every fan proud of this team once more. He stepped away from the podium, and applause filled the room. The doubts were far from erased, but the seed of curiosity had been planted. In this moment, Daniel Cole had set the tone for his journey at Manchester United, a journey that would be closely watched, scrutinized, and ultimately define his legacy in the football universe. The world was about to witness a revitalization effort like no other. Chapter 2. Reshaping the Squad. The Manchester United training ground bustled with activity, the echoes of enthusiasm and trepidation reverberating across the carefully manicured pitches. The unrelenting Manchester rain poured down, as if nature itself was testing the resolve of the new manager, Daniel Cole. The first order of business was a monumental task, reshaping the squad. The aging stars, once the pride of Old Trafford, were beginning to fade. Their glory days seemed like distant memories. Daniel knew that to create a future for the club, he had to change the present. In his office, walls adorned with iconic images of United's golden eras, Daniel studied a list of potential recruits. He had scoured the globe, meticulously identifying young talents who embodied the spirit he sought to instill in his team. Scouts from every corner of the footballing world had sent in their reports. A sigh escaped his lips as he dialed a number, making a call that would set the wheels in motion. Negotiating transfers was a challenging, often painstaking process. Yet, this was a step he had to take, for the future of Manchester United depended on it. As the days turned into weeks, the Old Trafford faithful watched with bated breath. Rumors and speculations filled the air, while fans discussed potential signings at length. Daniel remained tight-lipped, divulging nothing more than a cryptic smile when questioned about the club's transfer activity. The tension within the squad was growing palpable. Established players, who had enjoyed unrivaled stardom for years, found themselves under a cloud of uncertainty. The locker room conversations grew hushed, with sideways glances and raised eyebrows becoming the norm. The arrival of fresh faces only exacerbated the unease. In a clandestine meeting behind closed doors, Daniel addressed the team. He spoke of the need for change, for evolution, for ensuring that Manchester United remained a club of champions. He urged them to welcome the young talents with open arms and remember that they were once in their shoes. The squad's response was mixed. Some players embraced the challenge and the fresh energy that the new recruits brought. Others, however, were not so easily swayed. Tensions between the old guard and the young blood ran high, threatening to fracture the team's unity. On the training ground, a series of intense sessions unfolded, with players fighting for their spots in the starting lineup. Daniel's vision of a dynamic, high-pressing game began to take shape. The established stars were pushed to their limits, while the younger players displayed the hunger and determination to prove themselves. The media circus continued, dissecting every development at the club. It was a storm that Daniel had willingly walked into, but he remained unfazed. He knew that to build the future, he had to brave the present. The journey to resurrect Manchester United was fraught with challenges, but the flames of revival had been lit, and the world was watching as the club took its first steps on this daring path to greatness. Chapter 3: Player Drama. As the new season drew nearer, the cloud of uncertainty that loomed over Old Trafford grew darker, with each passing day adding another layer of complexity to the situation. The star players, who had once been the undisputed heroes of Manchester United, now found themselves facing the unwelcome prospect of competition. Among them, the most vocal was the club's captain, Mark Johnson. A veteran of the club, Johnson had been the heart and soul of the team for years. But with fresh talent arriving, his position and influence seemed under threat. His displeasure was evident, and the media didn't miss a beat in amplifying it. One brisk autumn morning, Daniel Cole found himself in a confrontation that had been brewing for days. Mark Johnson, with a determined scowl on his face, marched into Daniel's office and slammed the door shut behind him. "You're tearing this team apart," Johnson accused, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. Daniel, unruffled, leaned back in his chair, inviting the captain to continue. "These youngsters don't know the first thing about loyalty," Johnson continued. "They haven't bled for this club like we have. And now you're making them our equals? You're pushing us out." Daniel could see the frustration in Johnson's eyes, the fear of fading into obscurity. "Mark," he said, "I have the utmost respect for what you've done for this club. But football is a game of evolution. We can't stand still. I'm not here to push anyone out. I'm here to push everyone forward. We need the best from every player, old and new." The tension in the room was palpable. Daniel knew that managing egos and expectations was just as crucial as tactics on the field. He assured Johnson that his experience and leadership were invaluable, and that the young talents needed guidance from someone who'd seen it all. With a reluctant nod, Johnson left the room, but the issues weren't resolved. The team's morale had been significantly affected. On the training ground, tensions ran high, with small disputes and disagreements frequently boiling over. Daniel was well aware that internal conflict could be the poison that sapped a team's strength. He scheduled a meeting, an open forum where players could voice their concerns. Some shared their fears of being overshadowed, while others expressed their frustration at the division in the squad. Daniel seized the opportunity to address the team. "We're not each other's enemies," he emphasized. "Our competition is on the pitch, against other teams. We rise or fall as one, and I need every one of you to buy into that." Slowly, but surely, the tensions began to subside. Daniel's commitment to fostering a sense of unity and shared purpose became increasingly evident. The team, though still not completely at ease, began to inch closer to the concept of one club, one family. In the weeks that followed, the players focused on their common goal. They realized that their differences, rather than being a source of division, could be a source of strength. As the new season kicked off, the challenge for Daniel was to turn this fragile unity into a winning formula. The drama among the players was not over, but it was a part of the journey toward redemption, and Manchester United was slowly taking its first steps towards the light at the end of the tunnel. Chapter 4: Innovative Methods. The winds of change were sweeping through the corridors of Old Trafford, leaving no corner untouched. As the new season progressed, Daniel's innovative approach to football management began to crystallize, and it set him apart from the conventional methods that the players and coaching staff were accustomed to. One crisp morning, Daniel led the team into the state-of-the-art performance analysis room. It was a space filled with rows of computers, video screens, and an array of data-driven tools. The players, veterans, and newcomers alike exchanged puzzled glances as they took their seats. "In the modern game," Daniel began, "data is our ally. It helps us make more informed decisions, both on and off the pitch." The players soon found themselves immersed in a world of advanced analytics. They studied heat maps, pass completion percentages, and other statistics that illuminated their playing styles. Initially, it felt overwhelming, a far cry from the simple game they had grown up with. But as the days passed, skepticism transformed into curiosity. Daniel and his coaching staff patiently explained how these numbers could be used to fine-tune their strategies, exploit opponents' weaknesses, and maximize their own strengths. On the training ground, the shift was even more dramatic. Daniel introduced a relentless emphasis on sports science, fitness, and nutrition. It was a departure from the traditional approach of grit and determination. The players had their doubts, but the results began to speak for themselves. Each training session was meticulously planned. GPS trackers monitored every step, every sprint, and every pass. Nutritionists and physiotherapists became integral parts of the team, ensuring that players were in peak condition. The players, in return, discovered a newfound appreciation for the physical and mental demands of the game. They could feel the difference. The wear and tear on their bodies lessened, injuries became rarer, and their stamina improved significantly. The naysayers within the squad began to see the benefits of these modern techniques. Their skepticism slowly transformed into grudging acceptance. On match days, Daniel's approach became evident. His team pressed high, employed a high-tempo passing game, and used the data to make quick, informed decisions. It was a new style of play, and the fans started to see that this was not the Manchester United they had grown accustomed to. The early results were mixed, with flashes of brilliance and occasional setbacks. But as Daniel had preached from the start, this was a journey, not a sprint. The team was adapting to a new style of play, new methods, and a new way of thinking about the game. For the coaching staff, this evolution was equally challenging. They had to unlearn old habits and embrace the future. The synergy between the coaches and the players grew as they began to appreciate that they were all part of something larger, something that was reshaping the identity of Manchester United. As the season wore on, the innovative methods, though initially met with skepticism, began to transform the team. The journey towards revitalization was picking up momentum. With each match, the world watched as Manchester United became a laboratory for the future of football. The new era at Old Trafford was defined by data, science, and an unwavering commitment to progress, and it was setting the stage for a revival like no other. Chapter 5: Rivalry Matches. The anticipation in Manchester was palpable. The fiery rivalry between Manchester United and their crosstown rivals, Manchester City, had always been a matter of local pride, but now it took on new dimensions. The upcoming fixture was more than just a clash of egos. It was a test of Daniel Cole's vision and the team's evolving identity. In the days leading up to the match, the city was a battleground of scarves and banners, draped in the colors of the opposing clubs. The atmosphere was electric, with fans of both sides eager to witness the transformation of their beloved teams. Inside the dressing room at Old Trafford, the air was tense. The players exchanged determined glances, their expressions a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The rivalry matches were different. They were not just about the result, but about the pride and bragging rights that came with victory. As Daniel addressed the team, he acknowledged the weight of the occasion. "This is not just another game," he said, his voice firm and resolute. "This is a chance to show the world that we're not just adapting to change, we're embracing it. We're here to redefine Manchester United." The message was clear, and the players took to the pitch with a newfound sense of purpose. The high-pressing game that Daniel had instilled in them was in full effect. They swarmed City players, forcing mistakes and dominating possession. The rivalry match was a spectacle. The roar of the crowd, the intensity of the tackles, and the dazzling displays of skill made it a spectacle for the ages. As the game wore on, Manchester United's commitment to their new style of play began to pay off. A beautifully executed set piece brought them the opening goal, and the stadium erupted in jubilation. Daniel's vision was coming to life, and it seemed that the doubters were being silenced. But this was a rivalry match, and City was not going down without a fight. The second half was a relentless battle as City pushed forward in search of an equalizer. The United defense, once shaky, held firm. Their newfound resilience and unity were on full display. The final whistle blew, and Old Trafford erupted in celebration. The victory against City sent shockwaves through the footballing world. It was a statement, not just to their rivals, but to everyone who had questioned Daniel's methods. The Red Devils had won, and they had won convincingly. But the drama was far from over. The rivalry matches continued, with Liverpool, another formidable foe, waiting in the wings. The clash between these historic clubs added another layer of intensity to the narrative. As the Liverpool match approached, the tension was palpable. The rivalry between the two clubs ran deep, and this fixture had the potential to define the season. For Daniel Cole, it was another test of his leadership. The game was a battle of attrition, a contest that saw both teams pushing their limits. Liverpool struck first, but United responded with a goal that showcased their newfound style of play. The match ended in a draw, leaving both sets of fans hungry for the next encounter. The rivalry matches were not just contests on the field. They were statements of intent, declarations of change. Daniel Cole and his team were proving that they were not just adapting to the times, they were shaping them. The stage was set for a season of intense competition, and the world was captivated by the renaissance of Manchester United. Chapter 6: Family and Friends. The world of football management was a relentless beast, one that demanded unwavering dedication and sacrifice. As the seasons progressed, the personal side of Daniel Cole began to bear the weight of his professional commitments. In a quaint suburban house on the outskirts of Manchester, Daniel's family lived in relative solitude. His wife, Sarah, a pillar of support, often found herself playing the role of both mother and father to their two children, Lily and Jack. The demands of Daniel's job meant he was often away, leaving her to manage the household and the children's activities single handedly. Daniel knew the strain his profession placed on his family. He saw the disappointment in Lily's eyes when he couldn't attend her school events and Jack's frustration when he missed his football matches. The job had promised prestige and excitement, but it came at the cost of precious moments with his loved ones. Late nights at the training ground, weekends spent traveling with the team, and an ever-present phone filled with messages from the office had become the norm. He often came home tired and distracted, his mind perpetually occupied by the club's fortunes. The strain also extended to his friendships. Friends he had grown up with found it increasingly difficult to relate to the demands of his career. Social gatherings became infrequent, replaced by phone calls and text messages that rarely extended beyond football discussions. At one point, he received a heartfelt letter from his best friend, Alex, who lived on the other side of the country. It was a poignant reminder of the friendships he was slowly losing touch with. The letter read, "I miss the old Daniel, the one who used to make time for a drink or a game of pool. You've become a stranger, lost in the world of football. Don't forget the people who've always been there for you." It was a sobering moment for Daniel, a reminder that his passion for the game was distancing him from the people who mattered most. As the months went by, he started to make an effort to reconnect with his family and friends. He attended Lily's school play and was present at Jack's football games. The smile on their faces, the genuine happiness that radiated from his family, was a poignant reminder of the sacrifices they had all made for his career. During a rare weekend off, he reached out to Alex and planned a weekend getaway, a trip that allowed them to rekindle their friendship and share stories from the past. The personal side of Daniel Cole added depth to his character, highlighting the sacrifices and challenges that came with managing a top-tier football club. It was a reminder that the pursuit of glory on the pitch often came at a cost, one that extended far beyond the boundary lines. His family and friends were the anchor that kept him grounded in a world that often seemed untethered, and he was determined to strike a balance that allowed him to be both a successful manager and a present father, husband, and friend. Chapter 7: Fan Reactions. Manchester United's fanbase was a tapestry of passion, loyalty, and nostalgia. Old Trafford echoed with the collective memories of triumphs, iconic players, and a storied history. The arrival of Daniel Cole had stirred emotions among the supporters, and the ensuing season brought about a division within the ranks. In the pubs and homes of Manchester, passionate debates raged. Some fans ardently supported Daniel's vision, believing that the club needed a fresh approach to rise from the ashes of its former glory. They embraced the high-pressing game, the emphasis on sports science, and the influx of young talents as signs of a new era. But for others, the changes were hard to accept. They longed for the traditional, free-flowing Manchester United style that had been etched into the club's DNA. The presence of young talents in the starting lineup, the scientific focus on fitness and nutrition, and the team's gradual shift away from the club's traditions led them to question Daniel's approach. On match days at Old Trafford, these divisions were evident. Banners and chants in support of Daniel's vision vied for attention, with those pleading for a return to the old ways. The atmosphere was charged with expectations and uncertainty. The fan reactions became a focal point of the media's coverage. The newspapers were filled with opinion pieces, and talk shows dissected every aspect of the club's transformation. Pundits and experts offered their contrasting views, adding fuel to the fiery debates. The fluctuating fortunes of the team only intensified the discussions. Wins against fierce rivals like Manchester City and draws against strong opponents like Liverpool were celebrated by those who supported Daniel's vision. They saw these results as signs of progress. But the defeats, particularly against teams that were considered underdogs, stoked the anger and frustration of those longing for a return to the past. They questioned the worth of modern methods and the introduction of young talents if it meant losing the club's identity. For Daniel Cole, the fan reactions were a constant reminder of the tightrope he walked. He understood that the club's legacy and traditions were not to be dismissed, but he also believed that progress was essential. He had to find a way to win not only matches, but also the hearts of the fans. As the season unfolded, Daniel was keen to find a balance between tradition and innovation. He reached out to the fans, attending supporters' meetings and addressing their concerns. He emphasized that while the club was evolving, the values and legacy of Manchester United remained sacred. The story of Manchester United was a tale of both evolution and tradition, of embracing the future while cherishing the past. The fan reactions were a testament to the deep emotional ties between the club and its supporters, and it was up to Daniel to find a way to unite them all behind a common goal: the revival of the Red Devils. Chapter 8: Mid-Season Challenges. The midpoint of the season had arrived, and Manchester United's journey under Daniel Cole was a tumultuous ride filled with both triumphs and disappointments. The team's performance had oscillated, and the pressure was mounting from all sides. In the boardroom at Old Trafford, the club's directors convened to discuss the season's progress. The expectations of Manchester United were colossal, and the board was beginning to question the unconventional methods Daniel had introduced. The results were mixed, and patience was wearing thin. Daniel faced a barrage of questions and doubts from the board members. They questioned the heavy investment in sports science, the constant influx of young talents, and the departure from the club's traditional style of play. The board wanted success, and they weren't sure if Daniel's vision was leading them in the right direction. In response, Daniel presented his case with unwavering conviction. He outlined the long-term benefits of sports science, showcasing how it had reduced injuries and improved the players' overall performance. He emphasized the need to invest in youth, explaining that it was not just about the present, but building a strong foundation for the future. He assured the board that while the journey was challenging, he believed in the path he had set for the club. As the season's matches rolled on, Manchester United's performances continued to be a roller coaster. There were moments of brilliance, where the high-pressing game and youthful exuberance paid dividends. Wins against top-tier teams reignited hope among the fans and the players, demonstrating the potential of Daniel's vision. However, disappointments were equally frequent. Unexpected losses to lower-ranked teams exposed the team's vulnerabilities. The criticism from fans and the media amplified, and the board's doubts grew more pronounced. In the midst of these challenges, Daniel remained resolute. He doubled down on his belief that short-term setbacks were part of the process. The demands of evolution were never easy, but they were necessary. He urged the players to remain committed to their new style of play and stay focused on the long-term goal. Within the squad, some players were beginning to fully embrace Daniel's vision. They could see the progress in their fitness and performances, and they were determined to see the journey through. Others, however, were growing disillusioned with the constant change and the criticism that came with it. As the pressure mounted, It wasn't just Daniel who faced scrutiny. The entire team was under the microscope. They were searching for consistency, a way to translate their moments of brilliance into sustained success. The mid-season challenges were a testament to the turbulent path of transformation that Daniel had set the club on. The road to redemption was laden with obstacles, but Daniel remained steadfast in his conviction that the innovations he had introduced were not only the way forward but also the path to a brighter future for Manchester United. Chapter 9: Europe Beckons. As the Premier League season entered its decisive phase, the allure of European competition loomed large. The UEFA Champions League, the grand stage of continental football, offered Manchester United a chance to not only showcase their progress under Daniel Cole, but also prove themselves on the global front. The journey through the group stage was a mix of exhilaration and struggle. The squad faced teams from across Europe, and their performances varied from electrifying displays of attacking brilliance to moments of defensive fragility. Daniel's tactical decisions took center stage in these crucial encounters. He chose to stick with his high-pressing game, even when faced with the wiles of established European powerhouses. The decisions were calculated risks, and they sometimes paid off brilliantly, while at other times, they left the team exposed. The highlight of the group stage was a thrilling match against a renowned Spanish club. In a high-scoring affair, Manchester United emerged victorious, showcasing their ability to take on the best Europe had to offer. The fans at Old Trafford erupted in jubilation, and the belief in Daniel's vision was rekindled. However, the Champions League journey was far from smooth. There were losses that exposed the team's vulnerabilities on the grand stage. Critics pointed to defensive lapses and questioned Daniel's tactics when they faltered against experienced European sides. The knockout stages of the competition were the next step in Manchester United's European adventure. The draw pitted them against a formidable Italian opponent, and the stakes were higher than ever. The first leg of the tie was played at Old Trafford. Daniel urged his players to embrace the challenge, reminding them that this was their opportunity to prove that they belonged among Europe's elite. The fans, filled with anticipation, created an atmosphere that sent shivers down the players' spines. The match was a fiercely contested battle. The high-pressing style that had become the hallmark of Daniel's United was on full display. They pressed relentlessly, hunted in packs, and showed signs of the dynamic football that their manager had envisioned. In the dying minutes of the game, Manchester United secured a crucial victory with a late goal. Old Trafford roared with pride, and the dream of European glory was still very much alive. As the journey in the Champions League continued, the narrative was one of tactical battles and heart-stopping moments. The world watched as Manchester United took on Europe's finest, their progress becoming a testament to the evolution that Daniel had instilled in the team. The UEFA Champions League was more than just a competition. It was a stage where the club's aspirations, resilience, and transformation were on display for the world to witness. It was a stage where the Red Devils aimed to write a new chapter in their storied history, and Daniel Cole was at the helm, navigating the team through the intricacies of the European stage, one tactical decision at a time. Chapter 10: The Road to Redemption. The climactic moment of Manchester United's journey under Daniel Cole had arrived. The UEFA Champions League had taken the club to the pinnacle of European football, but now the road to redemption reached a crucial crossroads. Their opponents in the knockout stages were a formidable German side, a team with a rich European history and a reputation for their relentless pressing style. The match was poised to be a test of Daniel's tactics and the team's adaptability. The atmosphere at Old Trafford was charged with anticipation. The fans, who had seen their team's resurgence and struggles alike, knew the importance of this moment. It was a do-or-die clash, a moment that could define the season and the future of Manchester United. The match began with a fierce intensity, both teams pressing high and searching for an early advantage. The tactical battle unfolded on the pitch, with moments of brilliance from both sides. The fans were on the edge of their seats, their voices echoing through the stadium. In the midst of this high-stakes contest, Daniel Cole's tactical acumen came to the fore. He made crucial substitutions, altering the course of the game. Young talents, nurtured under his watchful eye, were seizing the moment and showcasing their potential. It was a testament to the vision he had for the club. The pivotal moment arrived in the closing minutes of the match. Manchester United found themselves trailing, and the pressure was immense. The players knew that this was their moment of reckoning, a chance to prove that they could take on the very best. In a stunning display of resilience and tactical execution, Manchester United managed to level the score. The stadium erupted in a deafening roar of triumph as the players celebrated their achievement, recognizing the importance of that goal. The match hung in the balance, extra time loomed, and it seemed that this would be a battle that stretched into the late hours of the night. But then, in the dying moments, with the clock ticking down, a moment of individual brilliance turned the tide. A young talent, who had been brought into the squad by Daniel, unleashed a breathtaking strike that found the back of the net. Old Trafford exploded in jubilation, and the fans couldn't believe their eyes. Manchester United had secured a victory in the most dramatic fashion. The road to redemption had taken a pivotal turn. The match had not only sent the team to the next round of the Champions League, but had also reaffirmed Daniel Cole's vision and the evolution he had instilled in the club. It was a moment of triumph, a narrative that had been building throughout the season, and a testament to the relentless spirit of Manchester United. As the players celebrated, Daniel stood on the touchline, a sense of vindication in his eyes. The journey was far from over, but this victory had breathed new life into the club's aspirations. The road to redemption was paved with moments like these, moments that define the character of a team. And as the story continued, the world watched with bated breath to see how Manchester United's resurgence would unfold.